Hi, I'm Krista,
And I'm Sarah.
and we have this podcast called Have We Talked About? Where two friends at different points in their lives chat about.
Everything in their lives, from current events to pop culture, from self care to self indulgence, and everything in between.
Join us weekly to see what we talk about next.
Hey,
Hey,
how is it going?
great. How are you?
I am good. I'm happy that it's Wednesday.
Halfway through the week.
Yes, blessed be the fruit. Handmaid's Tale reference. Yeah, and my countdown to vacation I think is at 11 days today. So,
Amazing.
don't mean to brag about that, but I need a mental vacation, even though I can't take a beach vacation. But yeah, we haven't really caught up. So, how was your weekend? How was your week?
It was good. Where we live, it's been very, very cold last week into the weekend, and now the sun is shining. We're like above zero, so I'm living for that. So things are good. Things are good. Had to go into the office this week, which was a struggle because I normally work from home. But I successfully managed to get in with no commuting issues. And I don't need to go into the office for a long time. So I'm happy about that.
So I'm hearing we don't love commuting.
No.
Yeah, I definitely don't love commuting. I go in 3 days a week, and that's brutal. And today was Brampton, so I'm in a Mississauga satellite location today, and I really don't like it. I'm really struggling pretty bad, and I'm sure other people are like noticing that I'm not a fan of going into the office either, because it does waste a lot of my time.
100%. And it's truly exhausting. Like, I don't know how I commuted every day pre-COVID. How did I do that?
I
How did
know.
anyone do that?
Well, I think, yeah, even from the aspect of like being remote means that you can actually get more things done, right? Like
Yes.
you
Which
can
I
have it,
do.
right? You can have a sick kid at home. I mean, depending on their age, but still work or work at least a half day as opposed to like having to take a full day off when you have to go into the office. It all depends on how old your kid is, right? Like babies require a little bit more attention, but
Yeah.
like picking up your kids, doing all that stuff. I mean, it's like, well, how did people do it before? Because like they need to be able to do it now, and it's just like I can't wrap my brain around the idea of like having to go into the office. Coming from remote companies where they hire anybody around the world, and your expectation is you jump on the meeting, and when it's time to jump on the meeting, and then nothing ever starts late, and
No.
everything finishes on time, and there's other social things that you can do, and if you don't want to, like for me, it's the pressure of feeling like I have to be social when I'm in the office. There's just way too many people for me to be social, and it's really hunkered down where I'm like, most of my time in a workday is spent socializing.
Yeah.
It's important, but I actually can get my work done quicker without distraction.
Without commuting like X amount of time into the office every day.
And that too, right? Like your day is longer because of like it's an hour from downtown to Brampton for me. So it's like
Yeah.
that 8 hour workday is now a 10 hour workday.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I'm very grateful that I only had to go down once this week.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's killing my social life, which is appropriate for today's kind
topic.
of topic. But not to get totally selfish, I was trying to get Beyonce tickets.
And were you successful or were you not successful?
I was not successful. And I was not successful because I chose not to be successful. I
Why?
had I had a certain budget, and I
Okay.
had an idea of what I wanted to pay for seat wise with that budget. So I was like, Krista is only paying $500, which is a lot. I'm not pretending like it's not, for Beyonce, for floor. If I cannot get a floor for $500, I will not go. So, and dealing with that whole on sale was a whole other issue.
So I'm assuming the floor tickets were way more than $500.
Wait. So the tickets that I was trying to go after were exactly $539.25, give or take $1. And every time I tried to check out for those type of seats all around the floor, it'd be like somebody beat you to the tickets, and it was at least more than 5, less than 10 times that I tried to secure those seats. One time I had, the way that she has it set up in the Rogers Center is the stage is kind of in the middle of the field this time, whereas before it'd be at the back, and then they had all of these rows at open space in the 100s. Now she's more in the middle, closer to the 100 section, and then has a stage with this long runway and then a circular stage that kind of goes around the floor. So a floor seat is pretty good because you can probably see her at any point. I get row 4, section B, which is right in front of the circular stage, row 4. But these are $637. But I was like, I don't give a shit. I was like, if I can lock these in, it's what it is. So $637.25 a ticket. So I was trying to get 2. And I'm like, I don't know how I'll convince my sister that this was a good choice, but my little phone went around and around in a circle, being like, hold on, we're securing your seats. I'm like, I'm gonna get them. Oops, somebody grabbed the seats from you. And then after that point, I was just like, I was just feeling a bit defeated and a bit frustrated. Understanding the process coming from working in live events, but at the same time, as a user and customer now, I'm like, whose internet is faster than mine that I can't get any tickets? And then at some point, it changed, or maybe I changed my settings where platinum seats became available. So there's still seats available if you go up until yesterday when I looked. The seats were still available, but you could click on them. Mm-hmm. So there, obviously not all inventory was being released. And then the same seats-ish, in the same-ish section, were double the price. So now the 539s were $1,100.
Ooh.
And then the 100s are now $539.25. And at that point, I was getting mad.
Yeah, it's like you're on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, and I'm not good at like emotionally reacting because I'm like, I don't like to feel that kind of pressure. So then I'm just like, you know what? I don't really love her album. Hopefully the Beehive doesn't come for me. Like, I love Beyonce, and I'm mad that she didn't make a Toronto tour on her last tour with Jay-Z, the On the Run Part 2 one. But I'm like, I need to just like give this up. I just need to call it a day and just give it up. It wasn't meant to be. So I looked a couple times later that night to see if things had changed. There's obviously still an on sale, but everything will be resale at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this feels like Madonna tickets all over again. Except Madonna is like ridiculously overpriced.
Oh my goodness. Well,
It's like, girl, am I paying for your filler? Like $500 for like the 300 level or something crazy? Yeah, in Scotiabank, I'm like, girl, you haven't toured in a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to see you sing
you tried.
like a virgin. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you tried your hardest. You had a budget. It is what it is, unfortunately.
I know, but I miss concerts so much.
I know.
Like, that was a part of my life that is not as strong a part of my life now that I really, really miss.
Yeah. I get that.
And I don't know how much you can relate because you still... Well, what was the last concert that you went to?
I don't remember the concert, but the last show I went to was Dave Chappelle.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
And
January 1st of this year.
I wanted to go to that. Somebody else I know went to that too. Was he...
Yeah, it was fun.
Was he recording it for like a special or anything? Were there cameras or anything around? Do you know?
It looked like there was cameras, but I don't know. They didn't say he was recording. So unsure. But it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't remember the last concert I've been to. I've been to a lot of sporting events. I can't remember the last concert though. off the top of my head, though. Yeah. But, well, it sounds like we both commuted into our offices this week. You
Yeah.
try to get Beyonce tickets. And it's only Wednesday. Like, that's a pretty jam-packed week already.
I am exhausted. Like, commuting 3 days in a row, today always feels like it's like the last hurdle for me, and it feels like a Friday. So mentally, it's hard for me to be very sharp for work meetings on Thursday and Friday because I've been commuting for 3 days.
Yeah,
And even though, yeah, right? Like, it's a whole effort. And yeah, it's taken away from my routine. Like, I haven't been able to work out in a while. So then your stress levels, everything, like your sanity, it all gets thrown out the window because you're spending so much time getting to work and coming home from work that you're not spending enough time like taking care of yourself.
Yeah. 100%.
Something that
100%.
I've been trying to communicate to people. I'm like, I don't feel like myself because I don't have time to be myself.
Yeah. I was already exhausted when I got on the train because I am 8 months pregnant. I had to drop my toddler off at daycare, and I was like, and I'm pooped. Is it 6 p.m. yet?
Right? I can't
So
even imagine.
I get it. I totally get it.
Well, yeah, you have it. Like, I can't even care for myself. You're caring for yourself and a small human, and then an even smaller one that's just like floating around, being like, "When's eviction?" And you're like, "Soon."
So let's hope. But anyways, what we wanted to talk about today, because we thought it was, relevant. It was coming up because we know it's next week. We wanted to talk about Valentine's Day.
Lovers.
Everything around Valentine's Day, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, the pressure. How do you know if they're the right person for you? Everything along those kind of, I don't know, topics.
Well, as the single one of this duo, for me, it's like, well, one, being reminded that I'm alone on Valentine's Day, right? And then
But
there's
like when February hits, do you automatically think about that? Like, do you think about Valentine's Day and you're like, oh crap?
no, I don't think about it until the day of, or, well, here's, if I was in the office and people were talking about Valentine's Day, then I would be reminded of it. But it's not something that, like, sticks in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Or talking to people and they're like, well, I'm going out to dinner with my boyfriend or my husband or my significant other, then I would be reminded. But when February 1st hits, I don't think, oh, shit, I'm alone. But closer to February 14th, I will think about it. There's obviously there's the opposite. There's the adverse to Valentine's Day where it's Galentine's Day, and I've done that a few years. But it's like, I don't need to spend that day to say to my girls that I'm okay alone. Like, it just seems like, let's just not do that, right? Like, no disrespect to those that do, but I'm like, if I have to spend that day to prove that I need to be alone, then I think then the opposite is true, that I actually really feel like I don't want to be alone, and I need to, like, make a big deal about the fact that I'm single and you're single and we're okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I am okay. But I could stay home. I don't want to spend the extra Valentine's Day tax because everything's more expensive.
Yeah, valid. And busy.
Busy, and the increase of, like, hookups on dating apps obviously starts to, like, really uptick during this time. Not that I've been too avid, but there's been a ton of new profiles coming on. Number one, right? Like, more than I normally would see.
Oh my gosh.
It's interesting because now I only use one. I use Bumble. I don't use Hinge. I use Hinge very intermittently because I can only handle one app at a time. But now they really want you to pay for all the features. So I do filter on height. I'm a height elitist. And up until
What is it? What's it set at?
6 feet.
Okay.
So when Though I've dated guys my height. Like, I've dated guys my height. I've dated guys, like, an inch or two shorter. Like, I've had, like, relationships with those people. But because of the way that those relationships went, I just can't be with another person of that height. Because there just seems to be, like,
You're scarred.
issues. Yeah, there's just an issue. And I'm not saying all, but the ones that I attract that are close to my height have some kind of a complex or chip on their shoulder that I just don't really want to deal with.
So, when you've been on Bumble,
Yeah.
have guys said anything about Valentine's Day? Because it's like 6 days away or something, or 5 days away?
No, not at all. They actually
Okay.
guys don't give a shit about that. It's not on their radar. They're not, I mean, for me anyway, they're not using it as a way to like hook up. They're just like they want to know what you're looking for right away. To kind of fill you out. At least that's how I feel. They want to know exactly where you live, to know how far the commute is for the booty. And what else do they want to know? Usually they want to know if you have like more pictures that you want to share, which is a whole other thing. I could say, oh, it's horrible when they ask for more pictures. It is horrible when they do ask for more pictures, but if there's a vibe there at some point, I don't mind sharing more pictures, but I don't know you. So up until that point, there is no more pictures. Like, what are you going to do with these pictures? I don't even know if you're a real person yet. So there's two. Well, let me say there's two guys that I was communicating with, but I have a whole list. So what I do, and I don't mean to monopolize this conversation, but you can give me your opinion about the way that I go about it. So let me minimize this. Can you see? What can you see? Can you see anything? It's blurry, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are all of
Oh,
the people
yes.
I'm
Okay.
talking to.
So I see like
I don't
maybe
want to.
20 plus people.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I swipe a lot. So I do it the guys' way, where I don't swipe on everybody. Guys will swipe on everybody just to get matches. But I will do more yeses than nos unless like they're just like not attractive to me at all. And then I
Got
will
it.
just come up with whatever my line is for the day, my comment, my hi, how are you? And then I copy paste all the way through.
You're hooked to chat with the guy. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Anyway, so this one guy, there's these two guys that I've probably been, there's two guys that I've been talking to the longest, but one of them didn't use his real picture.
He didn't use his real picture for his profile picture?
Yep, he didn't use his picture. So at first when I swiped, I'm like, oh, well, maybe, some people look different. He's wearing sunglasses in his profile picture, and then the other pictures are like weird AI type of pictures. And I'm like, people can look different when they have glasses on, and their face can look different, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I don't know if you can see. And thank
Yeah.
God we're not posting this, so you can't, I don't want to reveal these people. But what he really looks like, this is an AI picture. It's this. Can you see that? Ish?
No.
No.
Krista is trying to show me pictures of these matches.
Yeah, because
this
we're
is
not
an audio
together.
platform.
The computer doesn't even want to show. Anyway, so what Krista does is Krista will go and look, once I find out what you do for your job and kind of have an idea of where you live, I will just go and Google to find out, to get your Facebook. It's hard to get people's
You will
Facebook
be a
nowadays.
CIA agent and get all the background information.
Right. So then I found his LinkedIn. So it's like, he said he's a business owner. He's not. He's not a business owner who does HR consulting. He's like a talent acquisition specialist at a company, which is fine, but that's not the same as consulting. Unless he hasn't updated his LinkedIn. I don't know. But also his picture is there, which is not the picture in his profile. And it's just like...
Red flag. Red flag.
Yeah. Not that I was trying to date him and stuff. It's just like, he's practice. He's a guy I consider that I use for practice. So there's some guys that I'll still talk to, even though I have no intention of meeting them or anything, because it's practice for me in building rapport, my boundaries, my femininity, because I come off as very aggressive and masculine. So I've been trying to work on that from a dating perspective. And then there's another guy, which I think I told you about. He's 6'4". And he lives in Milton. And I don't have an issue with distance if it's somewhere near like my hometown, which is Mississauga, because I'm here often-ish. And like he just got out of like a relationship or something, so a year-ish ago. So I'm gonna give you the scenario, and then you give me your thoughts. What happened? So when he first started talking, he basically said, you know, I'm brand new onto Bumble, which is also a red flag. When you're on Bumble, you can see their profile will say new here. And it literally is a banner that says I'm new to the platform. And a lot of guys will, once they don't get any matches, they'll delete their profile, upload it with new pictures or the same pictures so they can show up as new and get new matches and do this whole I'm new thing. Thing with this guy, which was like, is that he didn't have the banner new here. But he's like, I've been on Bumble for 24 hours. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense, but okay. Maybe you've just had your profile secret for weeks and weeks, and now you're finally out into the open or something. So we talked, and I thought he was okay. He's going to be 50, so he's a little bit older, but has grown kids. So for me, that's important. Like, I'm probably not going to have kids. I don't want to date a guy who has young kids because I don't want to compete with your children, but also you need to have time for us to have a relationship, right? As you know, having small kids, it's hard for you and your hubby to have time together. So we talk, and he kept saying how he's new here, and like every conversation, and like that was getting annoying. And I'm like, well, I don't, it's your journey. I don't want to give you perspective, because guys are always like, well, what's your experience like? Tell me about dating. I'm not a coach. You're not paying me. I'm not going to tell you how you should date. You have a scrotum and a penis. Use the testosterone in them to make some decisions and like lead, right? Like, and then he would just say things like, oh, you can message me anytime. And I was like, what a non-committal, this is my view, non-committal way. Like, message me anytime means like, I'm not going to make any effort, so you send me all the messages. That's how I receive that. May not be how he means it, but that's how I receive it based on my experience with all these other animals online. So I start to pull back in the conversation, and then I stop, like, I'm not responding as eagerly or whatever. And maybe he picked up on that. So then 2 days later, he's like messaging again, and I'm like, should I message him or should I just ghost him? Because I am totally a fan supporting of ghosting in initial conversation stages, not in relationship stages. But I'm like, there's no way to just ghost, just move on. Everybody can get over it. But then I replied back, and then we had a decent like banter. And then he's like, can I call you on the phone? And I'm like, very old school, and a 416 cell phone number, hello. And I was like, okay. So we talked. Sarah, we talked for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And it was an hour with a break in between. I had to like get off the phone with him, and I asked him if I could call him back, and he's like, yeah, no problem. So I called him back, and then we still talked for another hour. So I was like, oh, okay. Maybe it's different. Maybe he doesn't know how to maneuver in this because he was in a marriage or whatever, for however many years he was in, over a decade, probably almost 20. And he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. And maybe people are giving him bad advice on how to do it. Because I'm like, oh, I think I like this guy. The next day, I hear from him like late in the afternoon. And for me, in courting, it's like, if you have that little bit of connection, if you don't continue with like regular cadence of communication, like it falls apart, right? Like for me anyway, like you don't keep up the attraction if there's not like a little touch point and be like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's your day? So he texted me, and he said, when are we going for a drink? And I'm like, oh, we can totally meet up. I was in Mississauga at the time, but I'm like, I'm going back in the city. If you're okay to meet in the city, we can like figure something out. He's like, no problem. He's like, I don't I don't have availability Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I'm flexible, but I just don't have availability those days. And I'm like, no problem. Why don't we do Wednesday? Why don't we do this bar? And I give him a bar down by me. And he's like, yep, sounds good. That was Friday. This is 2 Fridays ago now. I don't hear anything on Saturday. I don't hear anything on Sunday. Sunday night, like 9 p.m. Also, don't text me at Sunday at 9 p.m. That's when I spend time having anxiety about my work week. Okay, like this is
Sunday scares. I get it.
Like the, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" I don't remember what the words were, but he's basically like, "I don't think I can do Wednesday. I think I might have to do Tuesday instead." Sunday, he messages me saying, "I can't do Wednesday. Can we do Tuesday?" And I reply back, I was irritated because it's Sunday at 9 p.m. Like, all weekend probably that you couldn't do this day. So Sunday at 9 p.m. telling me this is irritating to me, but I'm just a diva, I guess, right? So I reply back, no problem. I probably have to reschedule some things from Tuesday because he said, can we do Tuesday? But I can make Tuesday work. And then he replies back with a voice note because I replied with a voice note being like, oh, well, the thing is on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my son has track and he's injured, but then 2 days he does it in Milton and 2 days he does it in York, blah, 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 all to end being like, I can't tell you if I can do Tuesday until tomorrow, which is Monday.
Until Monday.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, cool, okay, let me know, get some rest. And then I just lock down the conversation, being like, on Monday, I'm gonna make plans for Tuesday. So regardless of what he says, I'm gonna have plans because I know this guy is going to flake out. That sounds crazy, but Tuesday comes. I made my other plans. What happens?
Wait, Monday he didn't.
Monday night he messages me. Monday
Okay.
night he messages me, and he says, I'm gonna have to refer back to my notes because this is now 2+ weeks ago. Monday night, again, 8 p.m. at night, he's like, sorry for being missing in action, ... How are you? And then even the cadence of his message was different. Like, he used to be the guy who, types out all the words in his messages. This, how are you, was how, letter R, you. So even that was, effort is, now, little in my mind. So I was like, okay, I'm going to reply to your message the next morning. So I replied
I see your mind games. I see them.
So I replied back the next morning being like, hey, sorry I missed your message, got caught up with stuff. And then he replied back in the afternoon, before 4, being like, no problem, how's everything? And I'm like, oh, it's been good. It's been a busy 2 days. How are things going on your end? And I'm messaging him while I'm out at this point now. It's 6:50 p.m. that I reply back.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, are we still attempting drinks this week? My week is a mess. Thursday, definitely better than Tuesday, Wednesday at this point. Sorry. Right?
So this is the second time. Well, he went from Wednesday to Tuesday, Tuesday to Thursday. Second time now he's changing it.
Yeah, but now he's going back. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm like, we can always try next week. We can play it by ear. So now I'm just I'm not committing to anything now. You're wasting my time. And he's like, my apologies. Today and tomorrow are a write-off. And he's like, I assume Thursday doesn't work for you. And I just said, I have commitments for the rest of the week. Because now this is Tuesday night, right? Do you think that I just, kept everything open for you? This is a plan that you backed out on, but we made on Friday.
Yeah.
I got business to do. Whether it's laying on my couch or doing my laundry or being out, it doesn't matter. The whole point is, you're not important. So he's like, my bad, all good. And then I'm like, there's always next week, we can figure something out. And he's like, I would like that. And then that's been it. I haven't heard anything since. That was January 31st.
Ooh. So that's if that's gone, that's gone.
Well, what?
I said it's gone. It's not happening anymore. Are you talking to him like still or no?
That was the last communication that we had. But I'm not unmatched on Bumble. So normally the final nail in the coffin is like unmatching on Bumble, being like, okay, we're not talking anymore. That's your way of letting somebody know like we're done here.
Got it.
I could do that, but I don't unmatch guys on Bumble now. I'm just like, you need to see me on here every day until you decide to unmatch me. I'm not even bothering to do that anymore.
Valid.
So yeah, I would love your thoughts as a married woman.
Well, I just feel like you give the guy a chance to go for drinks one night and then he can't do it. And then you're like, okay, it's fine. You know, things come up. People are human. That's fine. Then you give another chance and he still can't do it. So it's like, okay, you know what? And I agree. Like, let's scratch this week. Let's try another week, you know? But then he didn't continue the conversation and like keep that quote unquote spark, keep going so you can eventually meet. It's done. It's fizzled out.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. And that's been my experience with online dating. Like I can't even, well, one, I won't even meet up with people now because I'm so like irritated by the whole process, but it's like I can't even get to a second date because this is like like this is not even unusual. This is like the common practice. But people find their people online and marry them, but I am not one of them. And this guy was like, I thought we liked each other. Like, you spent 2 hours talking on the phone. I don't even like talking on the phone.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Is that online dating? Like it sucks. I don't know what to say. It sucks. It's not a fun process.
It's the worst.
It's truly the worst.
And like nobody can, like, I don't have any friends that can set me up with people. Though we have a mutual friend who did try and set me up with somebody, but I wasn't trying to date anybody at that point. So I've just got back on Bumble around Thanksgiving. I've been off of Bumble for like the whole year because I was like, I need to be away from this.
You know what my recommendation is? The day after Valentine's Day, go get some discounted chocolate.
God, girl, I need to like get back on my workout plan before I talk about chocolate.
Everyone needs a snack.
Totally. So okay, so let's talk about you now. So thank you for validating what I felt like were the right actions. But talk to me about like how long have you been with your hubby? How long have you guys been married, and how long have you guys been together? I don't think I actually know that about you.
We've been married for 5.5 years.
Oh shit. Okay, that's long.
We've been together, I think, for 15 years. I know.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
We're like those people that like met at like your first job in high school. That's where we met.
Okay,
we didn't date right away.
Okay, so tell me, I've known you for, I feel like almost your whole marriage. Like, when we start working together, how long had you been married?
A year.
Okay, so I had no idea about that kind of like length of your relationship prior to being married. So walk me through that. Like, you're in your job in high school.
In high school, you know when you have like a part-time gig in high school to get that extra cash on the side? Yeah, that's what we had. We worked at like a really small grocery store in our like town. We both went to different high schools, but I met him there.
Tell me about
Markham.
Oh.
Markham.
Markham's a city now, is it not?
It's a city, yeah, I know. Yeah. I was just trying to, play it.
It's like, don't small town yourself.
So it's really funny. We started like the same month, but we didn't like see each other. I shortly after started dating his friend.
That whole life.
But him and I were always very close. And like I told people we were best friends. He was like my brother. That's what I told people. In my mind, he was like friend zoned.
Right.
Then we went to the same post-secondary school. I broke up with that guy because he cheated on me. And then we were just became closer and closer and closer. Again, in my mind, he was still in that friend zone for some reason.
Yeah, but you're entertaining
eventually-
it. But you're like, at the same time, you're like, I'm not all the way in.
I don't know. Yeah. And then I think just like one night, I think I just saw him in a different light and I was like, oh crap, I do like him a lot.
Was that moment where you thought he might like explore the options? Or was it like just something that he did where you're like, oh.
I think at that moment, I think people might have told me like, he likes you. I was like, no, he doesn't. Like we've been friends for like 2.5 years at this point. No, he doesn't. They're like, yeah, he does. And I think at that point, I was potentially trying to set him up with one of my friends. But they were like,
wow.
No, he likes you. He likes you. No, stop. And I think that opened my eyes. And I was like, does he like me? And then I think at that point, I put him in a different light. And I was like, oh my God, I think I like him. I think I truly like him. Like that's why we like clicked so quickly. We like hung out like in high school, went to movies, whatever, like, and we just had this like, I don't know, this bond and this instant like best friend.
Right.
And then it just opened my eyes, and then we just started dating shortly after that. Yeah. Okay,
so let me give you some context or some flavor, because what's missing now in dating for me that was very prevalent in the early 2000s
yeah.
was the aspect of like, once you met, even though this is not your case, once you met somebody that you liked, you tried to make the effort of like following it all the way through, of like having those touch points and those conversations. So was part of your friendship like talking on the phone with each other?
Texting, and potentially like, I don't think he was into Facebook that much. You know, Facebook. No, I think it was just mostly texting. And like a bunch of us from our work would like go hang out at like the movie theater, go see a movie, things like that. Go to the mall. We try to get the same like shifts together because it was always fun to work together, right?
There you go.
But then again, we were like 16 at that point. You know, you were just like living life.
So how old were you when you thought you liked him then? Were you like 18? You're well into post-secondary-ish.
Yeah, I think when did you go to post-secondary? You're 18? Yeah, I feel like 18? The first year you can't technically drink, so I think you're 18. In the second year, you're 19. So yeah, at 18, we started dating. Yeah. And then again, like, because we were so young when we started dating, potentially like the first year into our relationship, I think we broke up for like a week. But you know, you were young. Yeah. We're like, whatever. But then we got back together. But I think if we dated earlier, I don't think we would have lasted. I think just the timing of when we got together just worked out really nicely in both of our lives. Right? And then we went to the same school after that. Mm-hmm. Then we graduated at the same time. Like it just all kind of fell into place nicely for us to make it work and try.
Right. I'm going to ask a controversial question because I have a friend who, it's not her high school sweetheart, but she's been with this guy for a really long time and they're married now. But she did have a moment or a spell, an episode, if you want to call it, where she wasn't sure about him. And he's a little bit older. And she had what I would consider little dalliances with other guys. Like flirtation, a kiss. I mean, it's up to anybody if they want to call it cheating or not. Just to explore because she didn't have any other experience.
Oh, got it.
And I wonder if you had those moments of wondering.
I think when you're that young, you always do. But I think when I got to a certain age, I knew he was my person. And I didn't want to be with anyone else. Because I dated other people in high school and everything. And I was like, meh, okay. And then I found him. And I was always the one to break up with people. But he actually broke up with me. And I was like, no. And that I was heartbroken. I was a mess. But then he came back literally 4 days later or 3 days later or whatever.
Thank God.
Yeah, truly, because he fucked up. Yeah, but in his situation, I'm gonna throw him under the bus now. Hopefully, he doesn't listen to this.
I would love for him to come and speak to this from his perspective, but
I was like his like first real girlfriend. So I always thought like, are you sure?
right.
Are you sure I'm your one?
Yeah.
Because
You
like
don't
life
have
is
anything to
long, and I don't want
compare
you to
it.
have any regrets,
Right.
right? And to this day, he's like, no, you're my one. That's it. So
Is he still your best friend? Do you still feel like he's your best friend?
absolutely.
How do you guys like find ways to connect? Because your schedules, like I know a lot of time based on his shifts and stuff that you don't get to see each other. Like
Yeah.
how does he not feel like a stranger?
Yeah. Just some background. We don't have any of the same days off together. He gets up literally in the middle of the night to go to work. So I usually see him like 2 hours in the evening to make dinner, put our son to bed, and then he goes to bed shortly after. It's hard. Like it takes work. Like relationships, marriages, whatever it is, friendships take work.
Yeah.
And you have to put in the time and you have to put in the effort or it's going to fall apart. Right?
I think you're hitting on like a key theme, like relationships at the root of it take work, whether it's romantic or friendship or even courtship. It's just like if you're not putting, like if you plant a seed and you're not like doing what you can to nurture it, like nothing ever sprouts. But also if that plant is growing, but then all of a sudden it has like a case of like, I don't know what plants get, like plant sickness, right? Like when they get like something happening to it, and if you
Right.
don't doctor it back to health, it'll die. But it's like the whole point is
Exactly.
like effort. You have to put in effort.
Exactly. You have to. You have to. Or it's going to fail. Because um there's so many, what's the word I'm looking for? Distractions out there that can easily distract you, right?
Right.
Or take your focus away from something. So you have to continually to work on whatever it is. And we really try to make an effort to, you know, try to go have like a few hours together, maybe go to a show or go out for lunch or go together to the grocery store. That's literally time for us just to hang out and chat. You know, having that communication is key. But yeah, it's hard. At the end of the day, it's a marriage. Life is stressful. We have a young kid. We have another kid on the way. It's stressful. But at the end of the day, it just takes work.
When will hubby's shifts change? Will he ever get to a point where you guys can like have like some of the same time, especially with these two little babies?
Who knows?
Oh damn!
Let's hope.
Like,
Let's hope.
like your
That's why it's
situation.
tough. Like, it's tough because you see people on like social media and they post things. They're like, oh, you know, my husband took the kids out here. We went for brunch. We went this, da da da. And I'm like, that's nice. I'm so happy. Or, oh, me and my husband need more time together. Wah. And I'm like, you literally have the weekend together. I don't see my husband on the weekends. Like,
Right.
yeah, people don't understand it, and they forget sometimes that he works every weekend. So it's just me and my son. So it's tough. Don't get me wrong, it's tough, but we make it work and we figure it out.
I think your situation is a good juxtaposition to like my situation, where it's like the other side isn't cookie cutter, but it just proves that there's like, for me as a single person, like to find somebody takes effort on my part and on the other person's. But even when you're married, it's not an ideal situation where you work the same shifts and you see each other this amount of time and it's an equal division of labor and everything. It's like, I mean, even to get romantic time to make your second baby. Like, like you don't see it, right? Like there's a whole thing to that, and it's like co-parenting and showing up for your kid, and like, you know, whether you believe like it has to be 50-50 or not, like that's not your reality. And a
No.
lot of people, it's not, relationships are not a math equation or a
No.
piece of pie that you can actually split down the middle. So
No.
it's like sometimes you
Yeah.
have some of the pie, sometimes you have none of the pie.
Yep. So, yeah. And I just feel like with Valentine's Day coming up, there's so much. I don't know about nowadays, but there was so much pressure back in the day when you like first started dating somebody, right? Or if you're working in the office, people ask you, "Oh my God, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? What's going on?" Da da da. Right? There's just all that like pressure and build up for around
People
Valentine's Day.
people getting like gifts and like flowers.
Yeah, and like flowers being sent to them or like getting gifts from their significant other. I'm like, good for you. That's amazing. Like, truly. I just
Like
feel like there's so much pressure and like then potentially to post on Valentine's Day like, "Oh, my partner got me this." Like, fantastic. That's great.
surprise me with a weekend away, or look at my
Yeah.
heart-shaped cake. I did a
Yeah.
post a few years back. I baked Valentine's Day cookies. It was at Ticketmaster, but I think it was before you actually joined. But the cookies look like little bums.
They're supposed to be hearts?
Yeah, they look like little bums. I'm like, how appropriate. And I remember posting it. I don't remember what I did as my caption, but I'm like, yeah, like, because Valentine's Day is shit, and that's a bum, and shit comes out of a bum. So here you
And
go.
it's tough again because I'm married. People are like, "Well, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?" It's like,
Exactly.
well, do I have to do something? It's during the
Yeah.
work week.
Do you feel that way? I don't know if there's that same expectation since the pandemic, since everybody's inside, luckily, but
Yeah.
like, do you feel like you have to make an effort because you don't see him? Like, it's if you can't see him, you can't see him. You don't have any control.
Yeah, no, I think when we like the early stages of a relationship, we obviously felt pressure and we did the whole like go out for dinner on Valentine's Day like everyone else, stand in line for X amount of hours. And we did. I remember one time we went to the keg. We thought it was really fancy. And I think at that point you weren't allowed to book reservations. So you show up at
Interesting.
whatever time you show up and you freaking wait. And you wait and you wait and you wait and you both are getting hangry. You're both are getting pissed off at each other. And I
Totally.
think we waited, I don't even remember, an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. By the time we got in, it was the worst meal because we were just so hungry. We were just irritated with each other. And it was like not fun. And like everyone is all lovey dovey around you and you're like, just get me out of here now. Like, just get me out of here. So like I think from then on, we're like, we're never gonna go out on Valentine's Day. Maybe we'll go out like the week before, a week later, whatever. But
Right.
like nowadays, and I think we've done this the last 5, 6, 7 years, we will just do chocolate fondue with fruit, and we'll just talk at home.
Ah,
I'm not going out anywhere. We'll talk at home. And then this year, we're going to include our son to do it with us too.
so cute.
So it's just like we have little traditions now that we do that, you know what? I'm not going to face the crowds and waste so much money just to say I went out for Valentine's Day dinner or whatever. I'd rather just do something at home together.
And I think that speaks to like one, the materialistic like aesthetic about Valentine's Day, but the aspect of like real love. And real love is just spending time with your person, right? Like you cherish those moments with your hubby because you don't get to see him a lot. Like the most time that you guys spend together, it sounds like it's when you're asleep beside each other in the bed, right?
Probably.
But there's like, so knowing that you guys have been together for like 15 years or something crazy like that, like how has love changed for you, for your husband? Like has it grown? Has it evolved? Is it the same? Is there moments where it's different because you're in a different moment where it's just you and him, or it's you, him, and the baby? Like, tell me, as someone who is without love.
Oh my gosh, don't say that. You have love. You have friends love and you have
Of
family
course,
love.
of
Don't
course,
say
I know. It
don't
just
say you don't
sounds-
have love. I think it changes over time. I think when you first get together, it's like fast lust and fast love. We got engaged when we were really young. We were engaged for 3 years and then we got married. And I think it just evolves over time. Like if you asked me the day I married him 5.5 years ago, Is that still the same love? No, it's not.
Mm.
It's different and it's more and it's changed because our situation has changed. Now we
Right.
have a son, we have a house, we have a cat, we have everything. We have a new son on the way. Like it's just evolved over time and it's different.
It almost becomes like more complex, but not necessarily more complicated, because you
Yeah.
add these pieces. It's almost like you're weaving in these extra parts that you need to take into consideration, and that, on one hand, amplifies the love, but
Yep.
creates these other tension points that can like detract from it. And even though it's not the same, and I don't have any kids, but it's like when people ask, or when people wonder when they have one kid, like, how will you have more love for like the next baby? And the old wives' tale, or like whatever the mantra that I've always heard is like, your love like doesn't divide, it like multiplies.
Yeah.
Like, do you? And I think that can kind of also be applied to like being married to the person and going through different challenges. Is that like your love gets, it levels up. It like, you get another badge, like the Girl Scouts, of like, we came
For
through this
sure.
adversity, like obstacle badge, boom, hit that up on the love chart.
For sure. And like you may not like the first, I don't know, 6 months of my son's life. I don't know how much I loved him, of course, but
Yeah,
we went through the most challenging parts in our marriage during that time. And
interesting.
we had to figure it out and we had to navigate through that. But from that, then we grow stronger. Then, yeah,
So
it just
tell me more
evolves.
about that. Like, was it just the adjustment to the newborn? Was there a
Hmm.
postpartum to that? Was there
Yeah,
other
so some
life?
backstory. My son was born February of 2020. Few weeks later, everything shut down. Don't think that helped. And again, you have this newborn baby that you're now responsible for.
Yeah.
Luckily, my amazing husband took parental leave because we had that in Canada, took some
Mm.
time off. But when you're trying to recover your body, things are happening, you're trying to watch this baby, you're so sleep deprived, you don't know what you're doing, you're at each other's throats. Like, it's very, very tough. Very tough.
And you're isolated, so then it's not even like you have in-laws and stuff, because everything, you don't know what's going on, and you're trying to like keep your cocoon small so that you can just like keep
Exactly.
people safe in a way. I mean, it's a newborn
Exactly.
baby, no shots, no nothing.
Exactly.
It's just freestyling in the world.
So yeah, it was tough, but I feel like once if you can get past it, then you're in a good place. You're in a better
Right.
place, and then you can level up, like you said, and communicate and everything like that. But newborns are tough; they're not easy.
And you're
So
going to do it all again.
I know, what the heck am I thinking?
But does, I don't know if you want to say his name on the pod, so I'll just call him Baby. Does Baby have like a good sleeping pattern? Like, will you be up with two babies? Like, is he in a routine ish?
Yeah, he's in a pretty good routine. He pretty well sleeps the night unless he's sick. Um, but sometimes he likes to get up really early.
What's really early?
Like 5 or 5:30. So
Ah,
we'll see. It'll
that's
be
early.
yeah, absolutely. It'll be a new set of challenges that we'll have to face and go through. Um, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to do with anyone else but him,
Aw.
right? So we'll figure it out and we'll get to the other side.
I think, well, I mean, from a dating perspective, like, even though just talking to somebody is still early days, but I think like that's the ultimate question I have in my mind, where it's like, can I would I be able to like do the hard things with this person, even though we're just talking? It's just like beginning stages, right? I
Yeah,
do definitely do an assessment of like, how will you handle adversity? Like, how have you handled adversity in your regular life? Like, do you push it under the rug? Do you hit it face on? Because I personally don't want to go into the next stage of my life and have something come up and it's like, this person is actually pulling me back because they don't want to deal with stuff, right? And it's like, that's should be for everybody, like, the most important thing in your person is, like, do they want to do life with you, and do they want to head it face on and feel like they can because you're beside them.
Absolutely. I also feel like knowing, I know this is going to sound so like dorky, but I think me and my husband did it a few years ago. We figured out each other's love languages. And
Ooh,
ours is,
I have a dating story about that.
So I know what his is. We have one that overlaps, and then he knows what mine is. So, like,
What is it?
Mine is obviously like, I think it's acts of service. I think.
Oh.
So it's like, if you help me around the house, if you like bathe our son, if you like, that shows me that, like, thank you, like, you, that, like, I love you for doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that. If you do laundry, because, like, just continues to come, things like that. And I think the other one was like, I don't know what it's called, but I think it's like quality time or something. Like, both of ours is that, obviously. And then his was touch. What's that one?
Physical touch, I think, is it.
Yeah, that's his was that. So we know that, so it helps.
Yeah. I think my love languages are words of affirmation. Like, I need to, like, be told, like, I'm doing a good job type of thing. Like, that kind of communication. And I think physical touch also is probably second.
Got it.
I guess acts of service. But I feel like for some people that could change. Like, in a different situation, maybe acts of service would be important for me, right? But it's just me.
For sure. And I think if you asked Sarah 10 years ago, it would be different. But Sarah now, who has responsibilities in a house and a cat and a son, and she's 8 months pregnant, it's
oh, yeah, the cat. Milo?
Milo,
yeah.
My cat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... I think it just changes over time. You know, your relationship has to grow when you grow, and it has to change. And some relationships don't succeed because people are going off in different directions, and they're not changing together. They change apart.
Or just expect one person changes and the other one doesn't, and just expects, like, oh, but this is how you meant me, so this is how it should stay. And it's just like, ugh.
It's like, yeah, well, I met you when I was 16. I really hope it's going to change.
Right? You would think.
Yeah.
It made me think of something else. I forget what I was going to say now.
Well, I was going to say, even the pressure, like, around Valentine's Day in regards to, like, schools and daycares. Because my son is 2. Did he pick his Valentine's Day cards to give to his class? Yes. Who will be writing the cards up? Me. Who will be sticking the chocolates on the cards? Me. Who will be sticking the little things on the cards? Me. Who will be getting a gift for their teachers? Me. It's like all this pressure because like you don't want your kid to feel excluded.
Right. So
you're going to be doing this too.
My gosh, I forgot all about that. My sister's kids' school had like a really stringent like no nut policy, but they even took it further, like don't bring treats at all. So it's only cards they would ever have to worry about because they couldn't bring, even for a birthday, you know, when you like bring like Timbits for people or a cake or some crap to share, like they couldn't even do that. Luckily,
gotcha.
But yeah, like not being able to be like giving out Valentines, but also receiving, right? So even as like you're navigating like your little baby coming home being like, oh, so-and-so didn't give me a Valentine. Like, what? We're talking heartbreak in year 2? Like, this is too much.
Truly. And, like, you go to, like, the grocery stores or you go to Walmart. Like, you see the aisles and aisles filled with Valentine's Day stuff. You're just like, oh, my gosh. Relax, people. Relax.
There's financial pressure to, like, buy shit.
100%. And you don't want to be that parent that doesn't buy Valentine's Day cards for the class, right? So,
right.
Just another fun element.
My word. Yeah, I mean your stuff is amplified in so many different ways. I'm like, I'm just here with my little square of my quilt trying to build my quilt, and you like have a quilt going, and I'm like, nobody wants to be my other square to like build my quilt. Going back to the love languages, one of the guys that I was very briefly talking to online, which I didn't have good feelings that would go very far because some of the, I don't know if it's because men are older or they're weird or what, but like some of these guys, like this one guy he sent me a quote. He sent me a meme with a quote on it today. And I haven't talked to him since like last year in the fall because he's from, and these two particular men are American. So there's also another layer of like Americans also date differently. So these guys are well in their 50s, so they're a lot older. This one gentleman, if I can call him that, he would send me like weird pictures, and it's for me when you were sending me a picture of you posed as a guy in the middle of your day, it's weird, right? Like I don't live in Instagram. I'm not a character in Instagram. So, like, sharing pictures for somebody I don't know is strange. Mm-hmm. So, he sent me this picture at the coffee shop being like, good morning. I wish we could have coffee. And I'm like, we've barely said 2 words. But the weird one was he was in what I think is his kitchen, or he went to a kitchen set and posted, he took a picture of the 5 languages book. And he took a picture of it and he sent it to me. So it's there on the counter. And then he propped up his phone and took a picture of him with the book open in this kitchen looking at it. And I'm like, did you really take a picture of yourself holding up that book? And then he gave me an attitude about it, being like, what's wrong with that? Is there a problem? There's not a problem. You're just weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but okay. You do you.
Or like just have like a conversation since you're like far away and I don't bond through pixels. It's like, like, do you want me to ask you about what your love languages are? Like, I don't even know if this is your real name on the profile. Like,
valid.
Knowing that the other guy was talking to, who picked Judah as his online name, but his real name was.
It's okay. You don't need to say his real name.
I don't even remember what his real name was. I don't care. And he lives on your side of the woods too. I'm pretty sure he's like in Ajax or Whitby. I don't remember. His name was like Gustavo or something. Who cares? I will call him out as hard as I want.
You're so funny.
Another old men don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm like, you think that they would go back to like the days of like calling somebody on the phone, and they're just like, they're the weird ones sending like the latest quote I got from the other guy, which I don't know. I think he also might be looking for a sugar baby.
Sign me up. No, just joking.
Right? But he hasn't said that outright, and I don't want to ask because then it'll seem like it's weird. The latest quote he sent me was, when the time is perfect, you will get what you deserve. Never stress, never rush, always be positive.
That's nice. That's nice.
But it's never in context to any conversation that we've had.
It's just random.
It's just random. The last time I talked to him was like maybe, today's the 8th, 2 days ago. And it was about traveling.
But I do agree with the timing. When the timing is right, especially in relationships. Because you could have already found your person. But the timing potentially in his life or your life was off.
I agree. Timing is crucial. It has to be 100%. The intersecting point of like you're in the right space, they're in the right space, and then you guys like meet and like connect. I agree.
Exactly.
But you told me my person is in Europe, so I need to get there.
I said maybe.
Well, they're not in North America.
Krista has looked in North America. They are not there. That's too funny.
I don't think they're in South America, but maybe. But I'm probably not going to explore that to find out.
Well, I hope you can just, take Valentine's Day as just a normal day, a normal Tuesday, typical Tuesday.
Yeah.
And maybe treat yourself to some yummy candy the next day. I won't be doing much for Valentine's Day either. Just some chocolate fondue with the fam. And going through my son's Valentine's Day cards that he got from daycare. That's about it.
That sounds fun. Daycare drama is just as good. It's like, oh, who put little hearts on the Valentine? Like, baby will need to fill me in since he knows my voice. Me and him should have a little chat.
For sure. He'll tell you what cards he gave. He'll tell you what he got.
all important. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for sure.
you and I will be talking again shortly. Until then, I guess we should
Talk to you next week where we can dive into some other fun, awesome topic.
absolutely. We have a couple of things in the works, I think, and we'll figure that out.
Absolutely.